Well, I figured I would do an update video, at least give some idea what I've been up to. If you can't tell, and I've alluded to this a couple times, and I figured I would just deal with the wind in this video because that's what it's been here. The grass is kind of dead. There has been no mowing whatsoever since the last bit of mowing is being done right now, and that's only because there's probably a good 12 to 18 inches of topsoil in that part of the yard, and the rest of the yard only has somewhere between 6 and 8 inches of topsoil. So I mean, it's very, very dry here. But this is a picture I posted on the community page I guess probably a week ago by the time this video comes out in the morning. This is a garden bed that I built my wife. Fortunately, I bought this lumber back in February before it got even more expensive. We have a garden. I haven't really talked much about it on the channel. I think I showed one set of garden boxes that I was building, and I'll walk over the garden and show you that here in just a second. But this is a project that's been on my list since mid-February, and I finally figured I needed to get to it. Of course, now that I've got it built, there's no reason to put it in. We've got plenty of other stuff to do, and I don't have enough topsoil to fill it up. But basically, just purchased 16-foot 2x10s, and then two 4x4s and 8-foot long 4x4s. And basically, you cut the 4x4s. I think those are 32 inches long, and then I have that metal, that all thread in the middle, kind of keeps it from moving when you kind of keeps it from flexing when you're moving it. 1/4 inch lag bolts, lag it all together. I normally do 3 per board per side. Just due to cost, I decided to go 2 per board per side. And all in all, the lumber did warp a little bit while it was being stored, which I was kind of sad about. So it's not necessarily, it's only I believe it's only a 1/2 inch out of square, but it does have some warpage here on the ends that I'm not exactly happy with. But it is a garden bed, and we'll put it to good use, and it complements the rest of the garden beds. We'll actually walk over to the garden, and I'll tell you about the garden. All right, so it's a pretty small garden, relatively speaking. It's in the process of a major renovation. When we moved in, there was rock in the center, and there was that table and everything over there, and then everything else was dirt, except where the 2 red boxes that are kind of faded, those were here when we moved in. And we just kind of added to that. We're actually going to move that one next year. That's just been an ongoing project for us, basically. And we also had fences here. You can see where the post used to be. This was for like peas and stuff. We took all that out, mostly because it didn't work for us and what we wanted. We want a little bit lower maintenance garden. So basically what we've been doing is, as we build the boxes, we put landscape cloth down, and we take some pavers that were already here when we moved in. We're just kind of repurposing them, put the pavers down, and then put rock on top of it. It seems to work pretty well at keeping the weeds at bay. This is one of the garden boxes that I built a couple years ago. You could see I did the 3 screws per, or 3 bolts per. Same thing with this one. This is the first one I built here. It's only 3 feet wide. And we decided the reason I went with 4 feet this last time is when I built this one, I did not have the 4066. Well, since I did not have the 4066, that also means that I did not have a full 48-inch fork, so I had no way to move this because the X748 has 42-inch forks. So now that I have 48-inch forks, I can move a 48-inch wide garden bed. But in this particular case, 3 feet wide is all we wanted. We were going to actually put 4 in here, but after we got it, after we've planted it, I think this is its 4th year, we decided it really doesn't work well for us only being 3 feet wide, because we're going to put like 1 row of tomatoes and stuff in there. So, you know, we're changing that. This is kind of where we're at on the progress for that. I'm trying to keep you out of the wind a little bit. But this is where we're at on progress. And the one I just built, actually going to go right here. We're going to move that grass out of the way. I'm actually going to replant it a couple other places, and that should be good there. Like I said, this box was original to the place when we bought it, so we're going to move this one right here to this area right here, probably next spring. So And this is what I actually recently built, among other things. So I have been carrying this sink around from place to place as I moved. I actually found it in the woods next to my grandparents' old house in Florida in 2008 or 2009, I believe 2008. And I have been carrying it with me ever since, and it has since made its way to South Dakota. And that is where it's at now. It's been sitting out on just outside since we moved up here, and my whole plan all along was to build a sink that we can use to clean up vegetables and stuff, because, you know, hauling to the house. So fortunately, the same time that I purchased all the lumber for the garden box, and their cat's making an appearance, for the garden box, I also bought all this, and with a little bit of consulting from my wife, this is what we came up with. The sink is loose in there. I didn't want to fasten it down, and how we plumb this in is we do have a sprinkler system, and fortunately there is a sprinkler system valve box right by the right by the garden. And so what I did is I actually just piped into the 1-inch supply line to the sprinkler system. Now, we don't use the sprinkler system much at all. In fact, the controller's shot, and so if you want to use the sprinkler system, you have to manually turn the valves, or I have to buy another like $800 controller, which I really don't want to spend, because we're on rural water, and so if you use the sprinkler system, it's like $250 a month in water, and I'm just not interested in that. But what I did, and I'm going to turn you into the wind here, just ran a poly pipe line over to here, and then reduced it down to 3/4. So basically a 1-inch line runs to about right here, then reduced it down to 3/4 inch line. Everything else is 3/4. And then there's a shut-off valve right there. Do you mind? The cat is deciding to be pesty. So there's a 3/4 the shut-off valve right there, and then you have your 1/4 turn spigot for the hose to water the garden. Historically, we just used the 4 sprinkler heads that are on the garden, and then what I did is, instead of have a hard connection into this bench right here, I decided to go for just a soft connection, because that way I can pick this bench up in the winter and move it inside, and it's aging a lot less, because probably one of the hardest things is all the freeze-thaw cycles on this stuff. And plus, it gives me a point that I can drain it and everything that's a little bit easier. So I basically just bought some hose, and then cut the end off and added a new end, and then did a hose adapter into the MIP, and then the MIP, I just bent this piece of pipe so we could avoid that, and then just plumbed it all out there. So it works pretty slick. I'm really happy with it. We obviously haven't done anything because we don't have any vegetables that are ready, but then we went ahead and did a spigot right here. And then for if we want to clean, you know, taller stuff, I put the hose end here. Figure if I purchased the hose and I was cutting it into it anyway, I should just go ahead and do that. So that is the projects. These are some of the projects I've been working on the last week or so. You know, not anything necessarily that I want to video a lot of, mostly because my wife's helping me. I'm having to do a lot of thinking, and knowing me and cutting lumber typically takes me a little bit, and I typically screw stuff up. So we're gonna go ahead and go out to the shop or the shed and show you some of the progress out there. All right, so I figured I'd stop here first, so we're out at the shed, and show you some of the project I was hoping on doing. I actually came in here with the tiller on the X748, tilled some of this up, and I was getting ready. This was kind of just a practice run. I was actually going to do a video on it, and that's when the rain stopped here, and basically I can't even get a tiller in the ground right now, but you can see right there, just that little line of topsoil there. We probably got less than 4 inches of topsoil in this area of the yard, and you can see how it's so dead. So really, I don't have any yard projects to do with any piece of equipment for the near future. You know, so it's, and I'm really sorry about the wind. I probably should just purchase a microphone, but it is what it is. So other projects, let's see here. What have we done out here? I actually cleaned the floor, which was a monumental undertaking. And I also cleaned the tiller, because I think, keyword, I think I'm going to sell the 42 hydraulic tiller and buy a PTO driven tiller. It's been something I've been thinking about for a while. I've got the 540 PTO for the back of the X748, but I really have to decide if I want to buy a 647 tiller for the X748, or if I want to buy a Frontier or even a John Deere 681, if I could find one, tiller for the 4066. So, you know, that's, I would like to try a different tiller, for lack of a better term. The 42 hydraulic tiller does great. I've got a lot of good service out of it since I purchased it. It owes me absolutely nothing. I have zero complaints about it. I'm just ready for something a little bit more new. I think I've gotten all the newness out of this thing. It was new when I bought it. It sat outside of a dealer for many years, and I'm just, you know, I don't know, just ready to move on. So that's something I'll watch out for in the future. Nothing, you know, nothing coming anytime soon, but that's just something to watch out for. 1445 is doing great, piling hours on it until it quit raining. And then out here, the 317, I was going to use it to mow. It's all ready to go. I have absolutely nothing to do with it at the moment. So it's just parked until the rains come back. Same thing with the 400. The 400 deck is done. It's actually just sitting over here behind the 455. Let me walk you over here. I think I did a video on this. The 455 deck is completely done and ready to go, and got the new idlers and everything, and it's just sitting there waiting on the grass to grow again. 455 hasn't moved. I have so many projects that I need to get to. And a lot of, like I said, a lot of this stuff in the last probably 10 days, I mean, none of it's been video worthy. This is the 1992 318 that I got to get to eventually for a project. I actually pumped the tires up the other day. Let me see if they're all four still inflated. Yeah, for the most part they are. Pumped the tires up, I guess today is Monday, June 7th. I guess I pumped them up June 1st or June 2nd, something like that. And, you know, they seem to be holding air. And the 400's just sitting here, chilling out. The 7-iron deck for the X748, I'm actually going to put into storage because I don't need it. So we're just going to put it up on the pallet racking somewhere up there. I did, in preparation of watering the trees, if you remember, the MEP was sitting here on a cart or on a hay rack, and the MEP is now down on the ground. I actually used the load bank the other day and ran it for about 30 minutes at full load. Did absolutely fantastic, just to kind of inspect everything, test it out, and I think that, you know, just make sure everything still worked, just in case I ever need it. And so we're actually going to move that into the shop here in the next couple weeks. I've got some plans there. I may take some video on that. Other than that, I mean, it's just a lot of moving stuff around, cleaning it up, things along those lines. You know, it just is what it is. I got to finish taking apart this X485 sometime in the near future. I need to test a lot of components, but I don't have a test component machine. So that's something that's just going to have to chill out for a while. So probably I'll take it apart, scrap the frame and stuff, and then I will keep the components around until I can test them. Much like I know the radiator's good and I know the transaxle's good and stuff like that, but some of the electronic components, and they're actually already sitting in the shop itself. I mean, I don't know if they're good or not. So, and then eventually, you know, if the weather cooperates, I'll actually get a round fender or two out and we'll have fun with that. That was my real goal this summer, was to get the round fenders out and play with them a little bit, but there's really nothing I can do with them right now with how dry it is. I mean, I can't grade the driveway because the driveway is rock hard. Nothing. So, you know, they're just kind of parked. So we're going to be doing inside. We're going to do shop projects for a while. That 317 right there, I'm actually going to take it apart, rob the tires off of it, put those on, and the PTO and the tiller off of it, and put those on the this 317 right here, and the rest of it can go away. But yeah, and then hopefully eventually here we will actually get to the windmill. I've had a couple people ask about the windmills recently. The windmill's still sitting here. I've actually taken the top cover off and investigated it. Got it standing upright and stuff. That was a project in and of itself. That was actually something I did a couple months ago. But that's what I've been up to. If you have questions, comments, leave them below. I have a lot of people ask for a tour, and I just don't. Tell me what you want to see in a tour. I mean, do you want to talk about individual machines? Do you want to talk about, you know, what do you want to talk about? You tell me. This is probably a great time that I can actually make one now that I'm thinking about it. So I'll give you a couple days to give me some feedback on a tour, and maybe I'll walk you around everything. And I can tell you a little bit about machines, stuff like that, give you a little history on them, why I bought them, why I have them, stuff like that. You know, some of the machines that are gone. If you didn't notice, I guess back in March, I purchased that 3235A. If you didn't notice, it's gone. I sold it last week. Very happy to have it gone. That will hopefully fund a future purchase that will come on the channel. I haven't found anything to purchase yet, but I am going to an auction tomorrow. So Tuesday auction, that should always be good. So if you have questions, comments, leave them below. Other than that, thanks for watching.